Good morning. Welcome to this edition of the Coal Scene. I'm Chris Hamilton with the West Virginia Coal Association, and I'll be your host for the next half hour. Since we last met, we've had a lot of things happen in the state. We've had a general election, and with that election came a lot of historic changes for the state of West Virginia. For the first time in a number of years, we elected a Republican senator, Shelley Moore Capito, who was formerly our second congressional representative from here in Charleston, was succeeded in her election bid and is now, or will be when she's sworn in, a U.S. Senator. The Republican Party was also successful in taking all 3 congressional seats. And as it relates to the state legislature, there was also a historic election there. The Republican Party captured both houses of our state legislature, the House of Delegates and our state Senate. Joining me in the studio here today is Mr. Tim Armstead, who is a representative House of Delegate member here in Kanawha County. Also has served as a minority leader for the West Virginia House of Delegates, and is reported to be on the front row in terms of succession to the Speaker's office come January. Tim, thanks so much for taking time to join us here today. We look forward to our chat.
It's great to be here, Chris. We're very excited and looking forward to being able to do some great things for our state.
Well, appreciate that. I know there's a lot of excitement, a lot of optimism that reigns throughout the state, given the changes that recently occurred, and I think for all the right reasons. First, you're going to be joined by just an exceptional class of incoming representatives and delegates. Perhaps the most qualified and competent we have seen in some time.
Absolutely, and that's one of the really exciting parts of this. We throughout the state, we had people who had been already leaders in their communities, who had worked as mayors or city council members, and involved in a lot of civic groups in their communities. And they saw this as an opportunity to really step forward and make a change in our state. And they worked very hard, got out there and went door to door, and just did all that they could do to make sure they had a real opportunity here. So we're excited to be able to welcome them to Charleston and to work with them. And we're already gearing up, rolling up our sleeves, and going to work.
You have been, as I indicated, minority leader for the past few years. All told, you've been in the legislature now 15, 16 years.
Yes.
Formerly, counseled a former Governor Underwood, so you've been around the Capitol for a couple of decades, and
Right.
have to really be looking forward to finally leading the West Virginia House of Delegates.
Absolutely. We not only with, as you mentioned, the new members we'll have, but we have a team of members who have been working as much as 30 years in some cases or nearly 30 years to be able to move our state forward economically. They have fought for the key changes we believe are necessary to put our folks back to work. And time and time again, those have been blocked over the years. So we are incredibly excited about the opportunity to be able to get these things to the floor of the House and be able to move forward in a number of areas economically, in terms of our tax structure, our economic climate, our regulatory climate, our legal climate. There are just so many things that we can do that we really think will move the needle and make our state where it really needs to be, where the people of West Virginia believe and deserve it can be.
Well, and I also know from being around the Capitol that you're very eager to reach across the aisle and govern from that center point. And I'm sure that there'll be a number of individuals from the minority party that'll join you and your colleagues to move the state forward.
Well, absolutely, and that's what at times it's been frustrating for us as Republicans that we have good ideas. Our members have good ideas. We have things that we know will really improve the lives of our fellow citizens. And so many times those are rejected simply because of that they're coming from a Republican. We don't want to have that occur on either side of the aisle. We want a free exchange of ideas, have everybody bring to the table what they think can improve our state, and let's work together to do that. So we will certainly reach across the aisle, and I've already had discussions with Democrat and Republican members about what we can do to move our state forward.
Well, I think it's always good. It's always for the general betterment of all. If there's a seamless transition, and people come together for the common good, and again prepare to move the state forward.
Exactly.
I noted that one of the first actions since the election was the announcement from your office that you intend to raise the level and visibility of the House Energy Committee. And I know the reaction from around the state has been very positive. And a number of people have contacted our office, and some either thought that the Energy and Mining Committee was already a major committee, or just questioned why it hadn't been in the past.
Well, until a year ago, energy was actually part of a committee that few people could even remember the name of. It was Energy, Industry, Labor, Small Business, Economic Development. That was one committee in the House. And we started that process a year ago to at least break that up to where we could center on a small business committee and energy committee. But at the same time, those committees, minor committees in the House, meet very infrequently, usually just a half hour to an hour every week. They really don't have staff that works with them to do research and develop legislation as much as the major committees do. So we feel like that there's certainly, with the key role that energy plays with coal, oil and gas, and so many of our fellow citizens are employed in those areas. There's so much that we have here in terms of our natural resources that other states don't have. We were kind of, as you said, we were always a little bit confused as to why that had never taken the status of a major committee. And so we're very excited about being able to do that. We think we can really do some things here at the state level that will help offset to some degree this war on coal that's going on from Washington, war on energy in general. And we don't see a real let up on that from Washington, but hopefully the change that took place in Election Day will help us both in Washington and in Charleston to be able to do some things to make sure that we don't continue to have these layoffs that are occurring, this downstream detriment to our economy. There's so many things that we think we can do in that area, and we want to roll up our sleeves and do it. And this will give us an better opportunity to do that.
I tell you, that's not only pleasing to hear, but it's very forward thinking as well. The industry's always had challenges. We have seen, weak and strong economies come and go, weather patterns which influence coal and energy production, tend to fluctuate. But we have an assortment of challenges facing us today that I'm not sure have had any precedent. And it's not just the pushback and all the negative initiatives coming out of Washington. There's so much that we could do on the state level, and I know you're interested in, in looking in and analyzing
Absolutely.
all that.
Well, I think too, we have tended as a legislature to respond to crises in the state and to go into action when a crisis comes along. We believe what's happening in our industry and energy industry is a crisis. We have not really responded as quickly as we should have. I don't believe we responded as forcefully as we could have. And so gives us an opportunity to do that. We really, this is something that does require immediate action and some pretty bold and decisive action, I believe. And so this will, again, give us an opportunity to evaluate what steps we can take. And, we're very bothered, very disturbed by what's taking place in our energy sector in terms of the overregulation and the basically hostile attitude that's coming from Washington. And there are things we can do. We can't necessarily solve all those problems overnight, but certainly there are things we can do to ensure that people understand that we see this energy sector and the resources we have as a real economic advantage for West Virginia and an economic opportunity, and an opportunity to continue to see our people, our family, our friends be able to go to work each day in that industry. And it's very important to us, and we want to put it on the front burner and make very clear it's important to us.
Well, and the thing about it is when you elevate it to a major committee status, all of a sudden you have a little more staff time, you have a little more of the infrastructure that will work on those energy issues. And instead of it just being a 60-day-a-year program, you can become engaged year-round, working with the industry, management and labor and all aspects of government to help it succeed going forward.
Well, exactly. And as we said, if you are truly only in a 60-day session spending an hour or less a week on an issue, then you certainly, I don't believe, have made it necessarily the priority it needs to be made when you're talking about something as crucial as energy is in our state. So this, again, we will, this will give us the opportunity to do some research, to look at what those solutions might be, to get everyone around the table and talk about what we can do to really put our people back to work in those areas. But let's just face it, I mean, if we look across the country, there's no state that is blessed with the type of natural resources we have here. No other state, except possibly Alaska in some areas, but why would we not do everything we can in West Virginia to take advantage of that? That's tremendous opportunities for not just for the energy industry, but for all the other areas and industries that work around that, and the downstream advantages to having a very vibrant economy in our state. So we really see it as a tremendous opportunity. Some challenges, of course, that we're going to have to face. A lot of discussion we're going to need to do about how we go about that. But I really see just almost unlimited opportunity there for us to be able to really take a true advantage that we haven't done in the past of what it means to be an energy state, and to have the type of coal resources we have, the natural gas resources. I think it would be a mistake on our part if we didn't take that and make that a true priority in our state.
I see a lot of eagerness and willingness to roll the sleeves up and really engage the resources you have and your colleagues, and try to move the state and the energy sector forward. And that is so appreciated. And again, elevating this committee to major committee status, I think provides the framework, at least, or the roadmap forward to accomplish a lot of those objectives.
Well, as you said, there's excitement among our membership. I've had a lot of our members, both the returning members and our new members, who have said, I really would love to serve on that committee. I have some new ideas of things we could do. I would love to be a part of making that happen. So, I think you're exactly right. There's enthusiasm, excitement among all of our members about what this can mean for our economy and the people that we represent. So, I am excited about it. I think it's one of many things we're going to try to do over the next 60 days to put our state back on the right track and really take advantage of the opportunities we have.
Well, you got a lot of work ahead of you. You got a very short period of time here. We're late into the fall, and I know you have to make committee assignments and kind of put the structure and infrastructure together, and then put a legislative program together here before the session commences in mid-January. So
a lot of work to do, but it's exciting work, and we're very far along on that. I think we've had a number of discussions with our members, and been very pleased to be able to talk with Senator Cole and his leadership team about the priorities we want to move forward. We want to cooperate and work well together. I think we will. And, like I said, there's a lot of work to do, but we'll get it done. And I think, a lot of work leading up to that 60-day session. And then I think you'll see a very robust, vibrant session this year. A lot of issues that we've not tackled in the past that we're going to tackle this year. And that's going to be an advantage, I think, for all West Virginians.
Well, we're about out of time here now, but I want to thank you so much for taking time out of your busy and hectic schedule to join us here today and to share some of your thoughts and perspectives with us. And we'll get you back on here maybe mid-session or something and kind of get an update how everything's going at that point.
Well, it's a pleasure to be here, and thank you for asking me here, and look forward to talking with you again as we go forward.
Thank you. That concludes our segment with soon-to-be House Speaker Tim Armstead. We'll be back in a few moments.
Wow, these are really good.
You act surprised. Practice makes perfect.
You don't have to be perfect to be a perfect parent. There are thousands of teens in foster care who don't need perfection. They need you.
Welcome back. Joining me in the studio is Senator Bill Cole from Mercer County. Senator Cole is an accomplished pilot. He sells a few automobiles. He's been in our West Virginia State Senate for a couple of years, former member of the House of Delegates, and soon to be president of the West Virginia Senate, if all goes according to Hoyle here over the next month or so. Bill, thanks so much for taking time to join us. Look forward to our chat, and look forward to you serving as a number 2 person in the state come January, whatever that day is, and also in your capacity as Lieutenant Governor and as Senate President.
Well, it's my pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me.
We appreciate your eagerness to take the reins. You bring a wealth of business experience and sort of a no-nonsense front and perspective to the state legislature, and we on behalf of the business community generally have a high regard for that, and just look forward working with you in your new capacity when you take the reins.
Well, we're awful excited to get started. Be careful what you wish for. We got across the finish line on the Senate side too, which I think most people would have said was highly unlikely. But we've been working every single day since the day after Election Day, trying to make a seamless transition to power. There's no handbook on it. It hadn't happened in modern history, so there isn't a how-to manual.
How long has it been since the Republican office has had a person in the office of the president there in the state Senate?
Well, it's 83 years is the math that I understand since either house was held by Republicans.
That's remarkable, and as you indicate, I think it was a little bit of a surprise that the Republican Party took the West Virginia State Senate in addition to the House of Delegates, where the House, the possibility of that occurring in the House was, it was subject of a lot of chatter around the Capitol and around the state over the past 6-9 months, maybe the past year or so. I think there was a real stealth effort underway on the Senate side. I know you were very much involved with that. And I got to say, the quality of the candidates that were running for office on the Republican side was truly unprecedented and remarkable.
Well, it truly was, and I tend. You mentioned that I'm a businessman, and I tend to put so many things that I do up here through that business prism. It's certainly been sorely lacking in our legislative process for a number of years. But I thought if we were going to go after this thing, the first thing you do is you build the best team you possibly can, and the quality of candidates that came forth was just phenomenal. But for the first time, I think there was a sense in West Virginia that you could get involved in a process and you could be part of making a change.
Well, I know one of the first actions was to elevate the Energy, Industry, and Mining Committee to a major committee status, and for our viewing audience out here and those that are impacted or involved in one way or the other with the mining and the energy industry sector of our state. I think that there's been a very positive reaction to that, and that's a real credit to where you sit and how you view energy and coal mining here within the state.
You know, back to that business prism, if you considered the state of business and you walked in the front door and you started taking inventory of what you have that's good, all our natural resources are at the top of the list. I mean, we are blessed beyond belief in this state with the opportunities that we have, and why wouldn't we elevate energy to the top? I mean, it can't be the only thing we have, and I think for too many years it really has been the only thing we had, but it has to stay critical. It has to stay top of the list. It will stay top of the list. Hopefully we can diversify our state a little bit, though, and it'll help us weather times like we're going through right now, like the coal industry is going through, and so much of that is the war on coal out of Washington. But frankly, some of it is the economy, our national economy and the world's economy. So we're getting pressure on two fronts, and then here we go into budget time, and we're going to cut this program and cut that program, and they're good programs. I mean, we're talking about cut. I mean, it's for people that can't take care of themselves. It's for elderly. It's for kids. It's for animals. I mean, all those good programs. So if we're lucky enough to diversify our economy a little bit, then maybe we can take out the highs and the lows and sort of go through the middle. But having energy elevated is exactly the right thing to do. Energy has to have a seat at the table.
There, as you mentioned, there are some not so coal-friendly initiatives coming out of Washington D.C., and the actions of this president and his administration have really put the state of West Virginia and central and southern Appalachia at a disadvantage. But when you look beyond that, world coal use is on the increase. You would never know that living in southern West Virginia today, where we have several thousand miners laid off, and we have more coal and some of the best quality of coal that you'll find anywhere in the world. And we have that right here. So on one hand, world coal use is on the increase, and we have more of it than anyone else.
Well, maybe I think a little bit more about Matt and steel building when I was talking about that, but you're exactly right. We have Germany and Japan bringing coal-fired power plants online and decommissioning nuclear and wind because coal will provide them the cheapest form of energy. I mean, that's good for the citizens, and it's good for their industry. And of course, Washington has us going in a different direction, and we gotta ride this one out for 2 more years and hopefully fight off as much of it as we can.
Well, and that's just so appreciated. And again, the fact that you've raised and are putting so much emphasis on your energy committee, and I know you'll challenge it to look beyond legislation and see what kind of programmatic or how you can best contribute towards a viable industry going forward, as I'm sure you will with all businesses. And so we look forward to that, and look forward working with you in the months and hopefully years to come, within the energy sector. The one thing about that we typically talk a lot about is our coal severance program, and you mentioned that a little bit, of how some of those tax dollars are used to support programs for the less fortunate or seniors, education generally. And the one really positive thing about that program is that while we only mine coal in less than half of the state's 55 counties, all 55 counties receive payments to run those local government programs from the coal severance program. So it's
Well, there's no question. I mean, this state was built on the back of the coal industry. But it's critical that that we continue to do everything in our power to see to it that that industry remains a healthy one.
Well, and the other thing that goes with that is, you know, we seem to have always had a kind of a sum zero perspective about the energy industries. It's almost that we accept a decline in coal to get an increase in gas. And it seems we ought to be able to develop both of those industries and to where both are on an upward expanding plane.
I agree with you. You know, as some people look at the severance and they say, well, it's down in coal, but it's up in gas, so the state's going to be okay. But there's a big difference between the two industries. It doesn't take thousands of people once that well's in to get the gas out of the ground. It takes thousands of people to mine coal. And so we have working West Virginians that are paying taxes, that are buying cars. It's important to our whole state. You know, we've just come out of an election cycle, and I don't think there's a lot to be gained by looking backwards. Only that we learn something by that. But I've said often that that we've been bad stewards of our state government on the backs of coal. Because the money's been coming in, because it's been steady, we've gotten away with ignoring business in that environment. And I'm looking forward to working with Tim Armstead. We have a great working relationship, and I think we can get to work advancing legislation that'll be good for all business in West Virginia.
I know, although coal and energy is certainly a centerpiece or a main theme of what you're looking at, I know that you have, you know, a whole array of topics and industries and businesses that you're looking at as well. And,
Absolutely.
and like our speaker to be, you're also in the process of putting your different committees together, your priorities. You have to put a whole legislative program together in addition to the team of resources in just a couple short weeks. That has to be really draining.
You know what? It's draining, but it's exciting. We're working early till late. Mitch Carmichael will be the majority leader, and he is he's side by side with me. And you know, we have it a little bit easier than Tim. Tim has 64 guys that he's dealing with down there for chair and vice chair of committees, and we have 18. So it's been a lot easier process for us to go through than certainly what he is. But the great thing about our caucus on the Senate side is